الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all our good deeds. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم ما أصبحنا به من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us, inshallah, reach Ramadan. اللهم بلغنا رمضان وسلمنا إلى رمضان وسلم رمضان إلينا وتسلمه متقبلا منا. Last week we talked about the goal of Ramadan, and we mentioned the goal of Ramadan was taqwa, right? الصيام, right? الصيام هو وسيلة it's a mean to the goal. And we mentioned that all the ibadat are means to reach the goal. And the goal is to submit to the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to follow the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to avoid the prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is the taqwa. Ya ayyuhan nas, a'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum walladhina min qablikum. A'budu, all these ibadat, la'allakum tattaqun. لعلكم تتقون يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So the goal is the taqwa. We have mentioned also the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that tells us that the siyam and the qiyam and qiyam laylat al-qadr, it's all imanan wa ihtisab. When we do that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept the ibadah of siyam and then will forgive us. غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِن ذَنْبِهِ. We have also mentioned that there are groups in Ramadan. There's fi'ah that mahrumun, and there is a group that is Ramadaniyun, and there's a group that is muttaqun tawwabun. We said the deprived one who Ramadan doesn't reach them. They reach Ramadan or they live through Ramadan, but Ramadan doesn't get into them. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to be among those. And then the Ramadaniyun, that they do all the ibadat, all the qiyam, all the siyam, but they enter Ramadan and exit Ramadan the same way. Ramadan has not changed them. And that's where the ibadat to them it's become like a physical exercise, and we do our best to avoid. And then the muttaqun, where Ramadan is an opportunity to revive the heart again, to increase the iman, to strengthen the iman, and like they, among the things that I read, إشعار فتيل التقوى. Right? SubhanAllah, to energize ourselves with the taqwa. So today, inshallah, we're going to go over a few things in the Fada'il al-Shahr and then Sunan Ramadan. The reason I say that, there's so many Sunan sometimes we miss on. And at the end of Ramadan we say, oh, I wish we did this and I wish we did that. So if I ask you about the bargains in Ramadan where the reward is multiplied. This is the ujur mudha'afa. We mentioned some last week. For example, if you pray at home, you get reward, right? But if you pray in the masjid, that reward is multiplied. How many times? 27, or another hadith 25. So the thing is, where are those bargains that we can see in Ramadan that we may not see outside of Ramadan? Any thoughts? Yes.
إفطار الصائم. Iftar as-Saim.
Iftar as-Saim, yes. You know, the virtue of, or the reward of Siyam, plenty. Nobody knows the exact reward, but we know it's great. إِلَّا الصِّيَامَ فَإِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا أَجْزِي بِهِ. Except the Siyam that Allah would reward us. And may Allah reward us for our Siyam, all of us, Allahumma ameen. Right? So Iftar as-Saim, you know, when you fast a day, as the Prophet ﷺ, من صام يوما بعد الله به وجهه عن النار 70 خريفا. That's one fasting of a day, 70 years away from hellfire, right? SubhanAllah. You remember that ayah says, وَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. So you can do the math, right? You fast 30 days, you fast more, inshallah that's 70. Now, you can get the same reward if you do iftar, right? This is, you don't think this is a bargain? This is a great bargain, right? With one iftar, you have the same reward. So this is among the ujur that easy to get. How about Umrah in Ramadan? Right? Umrah in Ramadan, the hadith says, what? تَعْدِلُوا حَجَّةً أو حَجَّةً مَعِي. حَجَّةً مَعِي, right? So subhanAllah, you get a reward. It's like you performed Hajj. So this is one of the things that many of us sometimes we miss on, and especially now, alhamdulillah, it's an easy access, like they say, right? You can do it on your own in 5 minutes. Click, click, click. You're done. You got your visa, and you just cruise through. The only thing you need is what? A little bit cash, right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yarzuqna rizqan wasi'an. To use that rizq to please Him. Allahumma ameen. So this is among the, like a few things, and those are like the sunnah of the that we can cash on. Among the things that many of us hope to do in Ramadan is the Quran, right? And we may have mentioned this in the past, that is khayriyatul Quran. Anything you attach to the Quran, that thing becomes of a very high value. The Quran gives it higher place, higher status. So if I ask you what is the best of the month, أفضل الشهور, you tell me what? Ramadan. Why? Because of the Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. If I tell you what is the best night? ليلة القدر. Why? إنا أنزلناه في ليلة. So this is خيرية القرآن. When the Quran is gives you the best. If I ask you what is the best job that you can do in your life, you're going to probably tell me CEO, right, or engineer, or IT now, right? That's the hot thing, right? Or what would be the best job that you can do?
CEO of Ta'lim Quran.
خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. So this is the khayriyah. You learn and you teach the Quran. So the Quran makes you the best. And you know the Quran, وَإِنَّ فِيهِ لَذِكْرُكُمْ, right? With the Quran you get the izz. You get the higher status. You get the strength. Right? You know when the Quran was revealed in Mecca, there were tribes, right? Fighting with each other. They became the strongest. The Quran gives you that. Make you the best. Now you're going to tell me, wait a second, we're Ummah Muslimin and we have the Quran, now where are we now, right? The reason is we're far away from the Quran. We're not really attached to the Quran. We're not really visiting the Quran. We're not really exposing. We're not following. So I wanted you to remember now that they say Ramadan and the Quran. But sometimes our goal in Ramadan is to do 10 juz' or a khatma, right? That's not the goal. That's not the goal. The Quran is not to do khatma, to do tilawah. That's not the goal of Ramadan. That's the goal of Quran. The goal of Quran is what? Is tadabbur, right? So it's not kitabu tilawah, right? And that sometimes we focus on. And you know, if you recite an ayah with the tadabbur, that it would be much better than finishing Khatma. So don't make your goal when you sit in Ramadan, and I'll say that to myself first and foremost, I'm going to finish a juz today. Or I'm going to finish 2 juz today. You're going to say to yourself, I'm going to recite the Quran and focus on those ayat and learn from those ayat. I wanted those ayat to enter my heart. My goal is not to reach page this, my goal is to read every ayah recited and make sure I understand it and make sure I have tadabbur. كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك ليدبر, right? ليدبر. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن إيش كمان؟ هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. You and I will recite this ayah all the time, right? Many times. But let's just focus on this. So this is book of guidance. This is book of bayinat. It's going to explain things to us. It's going to explain to you and me the way that I live, the way I interact, the way I look forward, progress, right? من الهدى والفرقان. والفرقان. What is furqan?
Distinguish between truth and false.
Between al-haq wal-batil, between al-halal wal-haram, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enlighten us with this Quran so I can tell this is haram or this is halal, right? يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا. يجعل لكم فرقانا. So this book, it has everything in it, and this is the way I focus on the book of Allah that has everything in it. قد جاءتكم يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم وشفاء لما في الصدور وهدى ورحمة للمؤمنين قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا هو خير مما يجمعون. The ayat explained itself. Subhanallah, it's a perfection of the Quran. This is the azama of the Quran. You have everything you need in your life in that book. And you recite those ayat that touches your heart. So this Quran, when you recite in Ramadan, we make sure those ayat enter our heart and has an impact to change us to the better, to make our status better. And that's when we look at the Quran in Ramadan and all the times, of course. Among the things in the ibadat, especially ibadat al-siyam, since we're coming on the siyam, we have to master that ibadah. Now, I'm very sure many of us, we had so many years in siyam, right? We can look at the gray hair, and we can say how many years maybe we can look at no hair too, right? So the bottom line is, there are a few things that I wanted us to visit again. For example, if you travel, any of us travel in Ramadan? Any of us, So my question to you now, when you travel, is it better to fast? Or is it better to make the fitr, not fast? What is the answer? Yes.
It's better to it's better to not to fast, because that's what God asked us and guide us to do. Then we got to follow what He asked us to do.
Not necessary.
Any other answers?
Not necessary.
It depends. The traveling, if it's a long
See
distance.
what? MashaAllah, but it depends. Continue.
If it's a long distance, it's hardship. Yes, you can do. So the Rasul did sometimes fast and did fast sometimes. So it's.
Barakallah. Jazakumullah khair. Very, very close. I say this because sometimes we may not notice, those things. So I want you to remember those little things. There's all these things. They have authentic references in our faith. In general, this is a general statement. You have a rukhsa. You're allowed to break your fast in the Zafar. Okay? So you just have to remember that. Number 2, if the traveling is easy and it's no mashaqqa, there's nothing that would affect you, then it's better to fast. even though both of them are okay. But when the traveling is hard and there's a hardship in travel, then it's better to break your fast, not to go through this mashaqqa. Now, if the traveling is really hard on you and there's hardship and it could be even adha, then you must break your fast. Then you must break your fast. So just remember those things. Now, if it's easy, well, alhamdulillah, now traveling a lot of times is easy. It's probably better if you fast and take advantage of this, because sometimes it's going to be hard to make the qada of this fasting and so forth. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when they were traveling, the Sahaba, some of them would fast and some of them would not fast. So I just want you to remember that it doesn't mean you have to do this or you have to do this. So you just balance things and try to take advantage of that. Now, so عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال كنا نسافر مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلم يعن الصائم على المفطر ولا المفطر على الصائم. This hadith البخاري and Muslim متفق عليه. Now let's say you're traveling and it's Ashura day or it's Arafah day. What do? Do your best to fast, right? Because you're going to miss on the reward of that day if you can. Obviously, there's no major hardship. Like,
what about the fast? If you fasting and the hours is different, like you traveling from here and you look the hours you get there, how you go?
Very, very good question. Excellent question. So you're traveling from an area where they break their fast. The Maghrib is, let's say, 5, and probably you went to Michigan and it's probably an hour, or you went to Chicago, probably a couple of more hours and so on, right? And you get there before the iftar there. So you break your fast on Alexandria, BC, or on Chicago or Michigan. The answer is, wherever you reach, that's where you break your fast if you follow their time. You follow their time. That's very important. So, yes. What is the Arkan al-Siyam? Arkan al-Siyam, imsak and niyyah, like you stop eating, obviously, and the niyyah. The niyyah is the intention. Now, when it comes to fard, like the Siyam Ramadan, right? Then you have to have the niyyah, the intention to do that. It's extremely important, and that's before the Siyam starts. Before the Siyam starts. I say it's extremely important. Sometimes we miss on that, so just make sure. Now, hudur al-niyyah, you don't have to do talaffuz. You know the hadith about this, right? So the niyyah is in the heart, right? The only niyyah with talaffuz is labbaik Allahumma labbaik at the time of the Hajj. That's the only thing. But everything else with the ibadat is in your heart. So when it comes to the niyyah, you know, you intend to fast Ramadan, right? And then when it comes, if you get up to the suhoor, that's by itself is a niyyah that you don't have, you know, so you have that intention. And you can do that like for the whole Ramadan, the 30 days, or you can do it every day. Now, Siyam al-Nawafil is different. When you have, you know, tatawwa, voluntary Siyam, not mandatory, then you can do the niyyah before or during or even after you start your Siyam. So this is things that we visit on. We have talked about the virtues of Ramadan before, and we all are familiar with, you know, it's a month of mercy, it's a month of forgiveness, and it's the month of Ataq min al-Niran, right? It's a month the heavens will be open, the hellfire will be closed, the shayateen will be chained. And you may want to ask, but wait a second, the shayateen will be chained and will still be.
It's a month of giving.
And the month of giving, of course. And the month, remember, Shahr al-Jud, right? Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كان جوالا وأجود ما يكون في Ramadan. So if you're generous the whole year, you top this in Ramadan. أجود ما يكون, right? So this is among the sunnah, inshallah we'll come to it. Among the sunnah is the suhoor, right? Now, you might want to tell me, wait a second, the day is 15 hours, 16 hours, I wanted to get some sleep. I don't want to get up for suhoor, right? I just have late. Before I eat, before I go to sleep, I eat a little bit and say, okay, I cruise through. What we say? Huh? Don't do that, right? You have to get up for suhoor, even if you drink water, right? So the suhoor, تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة. And the suhoor, the time of suhoor is the best time. وفي الأسحار هم يستغفرون. SubhanAllah. You know you decide this ayah, I want to be part of this ayah. You know, Sahaba, they used to read whatever they read, and they don't skip that until they apply it. SubhanAllah. So this is extremely important. The suhoor is a very important function. And you make sure when you get up to suhoor, everybody else gets up to suhoor, right? When you go up and you wake your children, you know what they do, right? What do they do? Leave me alone, right? Did any of this happen to you? SubhanAllah, it happened to all of us. And then my wife said, just leave him alone. He's tired, he slept late. No, I'm not leaving him alone. Get up, right? And sometimes they send my wife to wake him up, they never wake up. And she comes to me and says, they're not waking up, they're so tired. I say, okay. I go there, hey, jump out of it, right? SubhanAllah. So may Allah bless our children, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يحفظهم ويحفظ دينهم يا رب العالمين. تفضل.
But Sheikh, you also have to have them sleep early.
Of course,
You don't let
the
them
only way
sleep.
you can get up is suhoor, you can get up fresh and prayer if you really make the preparation for it. And preparation would be when you sleep enough. You have to sleep enough, and the best way is to sleep early, because that is extremely important. عن أنس رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة. This is Bukhari and Muslim. السحور بركة فلا تدعوه ولو أن يجرى أحدكم جرعة ماء فإن الله وملائكته يصلون على المتسحرين. Allah. Have you thought of this hadith? I want to get up so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته. Now salah from Allah is what is that meaning? And salah from al-malaika, what is that meaning? So salatul malaika dua, they're asking Allah to forgive you. Forgive me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them always ask for us. Allahumma ameen. Right? ويصلي salat min Allah is rahmah, maghfirah. So, also among the sunnah تأخير السحور. تأخير السحور. لا تزال أمتي بخير ما عجلوا الفطرة وأخروا السحور. So الفطر you do it right away, and the suhoor, of course you don't delay it all the way, right? You just enough. So في تأخير السحور. Now الاستغفار بالإسحار. الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والمنفقين والمستغفرين بالأسحار. اللهم اجعلنا منهم يا رب العالمين. And of course, when you do that, you prepare yourself for let's say you're on the beltway and the Prophet said, "Ajil al-Fitr," you know, hasten to break your fast, right? You're on the beltway, you're going to get home to break your fast, and then Maghrib, and you have a traffic jam and you can't get home. What are you going to do? How are you going to make ta'jil al-Fitr? Exactly. So the niyyah. When you make the intention to break your fast, even if you don't eat the food, right? But you're going to be much smarter than that, right? All of us, right? You're going to have some tamar in your car, right? And some water in your car, right? That's it. Inshallah, you'll be fine, right? So, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us do Allahumma ameen. Ta'jeel al-iftar. يسن تعجيل الإفطار. طيب. وإن لم يجد الإفطار, the sunnah is to break your fast on date and water. وإن لم يجد نوى بقلبه الفطر. Right? طيب. كان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم حديث أنس كان الرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يفطر على رطبات قبل أن يصلي فإن لم تكن فعلى تمرات فإن لم تكن حسوات من ماء. Right? So even a sip of water would be inshallah, fine. And you know, so the iftar is you date and water, right? And then you go and pray, right? And then you come back and eat. You know, I'm a gastroenterologist. In medicine, you always look at analysis of certain things. SubhanAllah, when you eat the date, it's the sugary stuff, right? The dates stimulate the acid secretion and the enzymes to start working. So you have juice that of acid, and the pancreas produce the enzymes that digest the food, right? And it takes time, you know, between like 10 to 15 minutes. By the time you pray, you have all this juice ready, and you just have to get, subhanAllah, the food mixed with that is ready already. SubhanAllah, so this is a tib al-nabawi.
So we can eat a lot.
And we can, no, the food that doesn't mean, oh, now we're going to go to another hadith. Now you just got me to another hadith. But that makes the digestion easier and typical. So now we're going to go to the iftar, and you know, thuluthun, wa thuluthun, wa thuluthun, linafasi. So let me ask you now, how big is the stomach? We eat food, right? You get a plate, you swallow it, right? You get it in. But how big is the stomach? How big is your stomach? Now I want you to do this for me, all of you. Please follow my directions. Put your hands up like this. All of you. Get them close. This is how big is your stomach. Right? Now, the stomach is like a balloon. The wall of the stomach is this thick. Right? Now, when the balloon is stretched, right? You have the wall get thinner, right? It's stretching, right? So the stomach can stretch. But the problem, when it's stretched, right? Where's the space? There's not much space in the belly. The space is going to be pushed up. You know, the stomach separates from the chest with a muscle. It's like a rug called the diaphragm. So the rug, like this, and the stomach is underneath, right? And above you have the lung from here, right lung and left lung, and the heart is in the center, right? So just imagine with me now, you stretching your stomach. You're eating so much, right? The stomach is pushed up. Pushed up what? The rug is pushed up. That means what? The lungs collapsed, right? The lung is not expanding the way it should. That's why you don't have nafas anymore, right? So you have to keep that thuluth empty so the stomach doesn't go up. See the Tib al-Nabawi, subhanAllah, wa thuluthun li nafas. So now just go before you break your fast. And I'm not saying this to you, I'm saying that to myself, right? You're going to put the plate in front of me and put my hand on it. This is how much I'm going to eat, right? So if I eat this much, then we're good. But I can guarantee you, neither me or you are going to apply that. we're gonna hit that food no matter. Look at Nabi. Nabi is laughing. Nabi is saying, what are you talking about? Forget it. My hand's not going to be like this. All right. SubhanAllah.
There is a hospital in Germany who has that as a logo in their door.
Oh, wallahi. SubhanAllah.
They say
Yeah.
you have to do this.
So this is the Tib al-Nabawi, this is the subhanAllah, the recommendation, and that's the sunnah of Siyam. طيب.
How would we know we eat 1/3?
How do you know what?
How would we know we eat 1/3?
So you look at this here, and you measure. This is much. So half a plate, inshallah, is fine. Plate, you stretch it into much.
Question.
Yes, sir.
When you eat food, you have to drink with water anytime you take in the eat to make it digest the food. Some people, what they do, they eat food and after that they drink water. That makes the stomach so hard to digest. Is that true?
Very good question. There's no rules in that, but in general, you have to moisten your food. In general, a lot of time when we eat and chew, that by itself, the saliva moistens the food. Now, drinking the water, it helps mixing the food. And the function of the stomach and the digestive system, it's a function of grinding. So if you look at the anatomy, this is the esophagus, the food pipe, and then you have the stomach, and the stomach open up. It's an opening called the pylorus, and then you have the small intestine, the first part called the duodenum. In Arabic, we do the Ithna Ashar, right? So the Ithna Ashar, it passes through. In the center of the Ithna Ashar, it opens up the liver, the bile from the gallbladder area, and the pancreas, so the juice get mixed. The food from the stomach, to get through the pylorus down, it has to be liquid. You can't get solid food coming from here. So whatever solid you swallowed in the stomach, it would be grinded. So the job of the stomach is to grind the food, right? Now when you have water or liquid or any liquid, that makes the grinding easier, right? The stomach, by the way, contracts 20 seconds per contraction. That's peristalsis of the stomach. So the stomach goes like this every 20 seconds. In other words, 3 times per minute. So what it does, it crushes the food and makes it kind of like mixed until it becomes liquid. When it's liquid, it comes out down to the intestine, and you have the enzymes there from the pancreas, pancreatic enzymes, and you have the bile, which is also comes from the liver and stored in the gallbladder that squeezes when the food comes. Then you have all the juice mixed with this liquidy food that's come in. It helps in the absorption. It helps. So we have how many feet in the small intestine? 25. And if you open the small intestine, the surface of absorption fills up this room. Because the cells, they call it the villi. So the cells like this. So if you stretch it, it becomes like this. Halala. So this is where the surface of absorption comes in. So yes, the water is important, or any liquid. It doesn't have to be water. Any liquid, any juice, any time that makes the food, that helps crush the food in the stomach.
Don't eat too fast.
Huh?
Don't eat too fast.
Don't eat too, of course, don't eat too fast. You just made me laugh. There's, in my work, sometimes people eat too fast and they get they swallow, they don't chew the food good, especially if it's a steak or hot dog or any of this, and then it get caught. So we call it food impaction. And then they try to get it up and down, it doesn't, and then they come to the hospital and they call me in the middle of the night and go and take it out. But the thing is, yes, don't eat fast, chew your food, and drink liquid with it. That will make it easy to go down. Yes, sir.
Is there any hadith about drinking water early in the morning that you should not drink water?
Not to my knowledge, no. I don't know. I don't know. Allahu A'lam. If anybody knows, you can tell us. Allahu A'lam. Right. So now, breaking your fast, when can you, al-udhur, when do people are allowed not to fast or to break their fast?
If you are sick,
Marad, Safar. Number 3.
Losing blood.
Huh?
اسمه الترقيع.
القيء القيء لا يفطر إلا إذا كان متعمدا. إلا إذا كان متعمد. Somebody stuff up, then like بالقصري, then and you want to continue to fast, you can. But if somebody gagged themselves to, that is يفطر, right?
Vomit, you mean?
جزاك الله خير. Exactly, الحيض والنفاس, right? So those are where you allow to break your fast, and you make it up later on, right? قضاء. can you just say, I don't want to make it out, let me pay, right? طعام مسكين. Can you do that?
Yes.
No, exactly. No, you can't. Unless that you can never ever fast, right? Like if somebody is sick, like an illness that there is no cure, like a marad muzmin, that there's no way that he can fast with this, right? Like somebody has Alzheimer. Can he fast? Should he fast? Why not?
Why not?
رفع القلم عن
Exactly. So the other question is like, who should fast, right?
someone
Who should fast?
somebody who's sane.
أولا مسلم, right? ثانيا بالغ, right?
What is balance?
بالغ, I'm sorry, I have to translate. Jazakallah khair, you keep reminding me, I do apologize. Yeah, so Muslim, we don't have to translate. بالغ means mature, right? It means mature, it's like you pass that age, right? And number 3, عاقل. Huh?
Sane.
عاقل, right?
Sane.
Sane, right, sane, thank you. So, and مقيم, right? مقيم, غير مسافر, right? So we just mentioned those. So if somebody had Alzheimer, he's not mandated to fast. The reason I say that is some people have dementia and all this, and they go and pay fidya. You pay fidya if you're mandated to fast, right? But if you're not mandated, then you're not required to fast, so you don't have to do qada or fidyatun, ta'am. I just want you to, like somebody, passed out, completely passed out, right? And all this. So there's no more taklif. There's no more taklif. The same thing when somebody had advanced disease like Alzheimer or dementia or any of those things. I just want to mention those are common things that we run into in our life, and you see our families, they're not doing it right. And that's where you have to alert them to do. Now, they can do sadaqah as much as they want, but it doesn't have to be the understanding. It shouldn't be that way. Any questions? I think we have enough time now.
What if somebody forgets?
The nisyan, yes, absolutely. So that is أن يكون ذاكرا أيضا من شروط الصيام أن يكون ذاكرا means remember. Now if you forget and you ate, right? What happens? No, you continue your fast. The moment you remember, you stop, you spit whatever it is, and then you continue to fast. Not like you say, oh, wallahi, I forgot, let me just continue the meal, and I forgot, right? So this is النسيان. You have a question, Habib?
إذا شخص مات وعليه قضاء هل على الورثة ممكن يقطعن؟
طبعا يقضون عنه، إذا كان عنده إرث يقضون عنه، وإذا ما كان عنده إرث يعني أولاده أحق بالقضاء عنه، الله تعالى أعلى وأعلم.
In English, I see.
والله بارك الله فيك. الله يسامحك.
No, there are people who don't
جزاكم الله.
know.
He was saying if somebody died and he has days owed of fasting, can he make up? Can like he has to pay on them? If there's a day to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this should be taken care of, either by family or from his money and all this. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
What about Hajj?
What about Hajj?
If somebody, his father, his mother, his son passed away and they didn't perform Hajj, can I perform Hajj?
Well, you remember the Hajj is not always mandated. إِلَّا مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. So there's condition. If somebody who died that was not able to do the Hajj, then it's not mandated on them and nobody has to make Hajj. Now you can always make Hajj for your family, for them and gift them. And that is okay, but to make Hajj for others, Allahu A'lam.
بالنسبة لحضرتك قلت ساعة الفطار يشرب مية كتير غلط.
مش كتير، ما قلناش كتير.
غلط.
لأن كتير بتزود
لا عشان عصارة المعدة فيها عصارة، هي دي اللي بتساعد على الهضم. لو شربت مية كتير العصارة بتخف، هيبقى عنده عسر هضم. هو يشرب بعديها بنص ساعة.
قاعد تفكر في الموضوع ده كل الوقت.
لا الناس عشان غير يستفيد.
Okay, I'm gonna translate.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so I'm gonna translate, so inshallah. He's saying that we mentioned that if you drink too much water, it's not good because it will make the digestion worse because the juice that digests the food, it gets too much diluted, right? And then it may not be good. In theory, maybe that is logic, but in practice, you can dilute the juice as much as you want. You have benefit of that. The number one, you got the more liquid to the food, the more grinding of the food in the stomach. Allah Ta'ala, I mean, we can argue about this forever, but it doesn't matter. Drink as much as you want, and inshallah it will get digested. Bismillah. There's no asrar. Bismillah. Barakallah feekum. Any other questions? Inshallah we'll finish. What time the shuruq?
25. 26.
How many minutes we have?
We got already the show.
We done? We done. خلاص.
We have 10 minutes to go.
Oh, we have to. Like
26.
26
لا
ما
توثق
تقدر
لكن
تصلي 26 لازم شوية.
تقعد شوية بعد الشروق.
Like, what if somebody knows, let me ask you this, because sometimes we may not know this, or we may know it, but we've forgotten. If somebody says, I don't want to fast, and break, and he doesn't fast at all, can he later on do qada for this?
60
If he
يوم.
repents,
The only the tawbah, there's no qada, according to the ulama. Because تارك متعمد. So ليس تارك ناسي, like forget or with excuse. So the إفطار المعذور له قضاء، ولكن الإفطار المتعمد فالتوبة وليس القضاء. الله تعالى أعلم. نعم.
شيخنا, in English.
دي قضاء. I've seen all of you here that do forget, subhanallah. I just was in a halaqah last night, it's all Arabic, that's not an excuse, but anyway. If you have an intentionally break your fast, you don't fast, this is a major error, major sin, that the only tawbah can make the kafara for this. Only the tawbah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yatub alayna. Yes. I just want to see if I did miss anything. ماذا يفعل من ترك الصيام سابقا؟ توبة.
But you make it easy when you say somebody cannot fast and then just make tawbah. So
No, that means, the qada is not accepted. Otherwise they will do it all the times.
also you don't do it and make qada.
Yeah. So no, let's do qada. No, it's not tahawun. There's no tahawun in this. There's no easiness in this. This is major thing. This is a major thing. Among the things that I don't want to miss, and I'll get you in a second. Among the things that is the dua. Remember, iftar al-saim, this is among the fawaid of Ramadan. The dua al-saim mustajab, right? When you break your fast, the dua is mustajab. So don't miss on that. Because I say this, many of us, we see the food and we forget about the dua. So always pause and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the moment you break your fast, because that is the VIP time for it. That's the VIP
But how long
time.
do you make dua? How long do you make dua?
As much as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the ability to
An hour? 15 minutes?
No, be reasonable, right?
There is ajulu and there is dua.
That's correct. So ajil al-iftar, you break your fast with date, and you drink water, and then the dua from the Prophet ﷺ, ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. There's something you want to add, inshallah, and there's like the thing is an open book, whatever you can, inshallah. What breaks your fasting? What mufsidat al-siyam?
Okay, anything, of course. I was going to ask something else. I was going to say
Mufsida, and you know, he has a question before you, so I forgot about you. Yeah.
Bleeding. Bleeding.
Bleeding from where?
Anywhere in your body.
I got my hand and I bled.
لا يعني how much blood does it?
Well, okay, inshallah, we'll talk about this. Yes.
عقوبة من جامع في نهار رمضان.
الجماع هو كفارة بالله حفيظ احفظ يا رب. Like, we'll talk about this in a second. So what breaks the fast is obviously somebody eat, right? Or somebody drink, right? And jima, right? So now the jima in Ramadan, now that's where the question is, right?
In English.
The
خلاص فقدنا الأمل.
Now this is a tricky to say. So the intercourse, okay, intercourse in Ramadan, this is the punishment is severe, right? And that is 60 days, consecutive days of fasting. And then if they cannot, then 60 إطعام 60 مسكينا. And obviously that is, now 60 days consecutive, that means if you fasted like 40 and then you skipped a day, you got to go back again. So that's where you have to remember, to avoid this as much as you can, inshallah. So we said the three: akl, eating, drinking, and jima, the intercourse, and the menses or the menstruation for the woman. And we said vomiting, but the vomiting only the muta'ammid, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, من ذرعه القيء فلا قضاء عليه ومن استقاء فعليه القضاء. So it means that when the vomiting happened against, it has nothing to do with its force, then you make qada. But the one who istiqya, means induce the vomiting for himself, then that is breaking the fast.
Also arguing and fighting with your brother. You should say, I am fasting, I'm fasting.
Right. Arguing and all this, لا يبطل الصيام, ولكن it doesn't nullify the fasting, but it does make the reward less. And that's where the siyam, لا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال, right? And all these advices, inshallah. Like, the main thing about the siyam will not be, like, if you, أن يكون الفاعل عالما غير جاهل. In other words, and somebody goes and eat, but he forgot, that doesn't apply, right? And he's still fasting, the moment he remembers them. ذاكرا غير ناس, the same thing, he remembers. ومختار, it means he chooses to. If he chose to eat, then that's breaking the fast. But if it was muttar, like you have something in your mouth, you want to spit it, you swallowed it by mistake, right? That does not break your fast. Like, how about when somebody, yeah, I get you, yes.
I'm sorry, I was going to just mention something. In Wisal, when you means like when you continue to fast and they not breaking your fast and continue to the other day. That's forbidden.
That is correct. The wisal that Prophet ﷺ used to do. The wisal is like continuous fasting. Like he fasts for more than one day, right? And all this. The Prophet ﷺ did that. But the wisal is not recommended for us. So, inshallah, we don't have to worry about it.
Do it in Ramadan?
He did it in Ramadan. Well, I don't know. Anybody know the answer to that? I can't remember. The wisal, the Prophet ﷺ. I don't know the answer. I don't. But I will look it up, inshallah. Like, how about if somebody get insulin shots or get antibiotic shots or anything like that? Does that break your fast? Somebody say yes, somebody says no. Somebody says no, somebody says yes, no, yes, no.
If the injection wasn't
So if you get injections, as long as those injections are not nutrition injections. Let's say you get an IV with IV antibiotic, then no. But if you get IV that has IV fluid to hydrate you, then yes, that breaks your fast. So if it is medicine that does not go to your nutrition, then it's fine. Like somebody has asthma, right? And gets inhaler. If he inhales for the airway, then it's fine. But sometimes there's some inhalers you put in your mouth and you moisten it and you swallow it, then that breaks the fast. So those things are important. Now the best thing is to be on the safe side, not to be exposed to this as much as you can. Let's say you take medicine, make it in the evening and so on, and if that's possible. And I'm not saying don't take your medicine, right? It's only if you have the luxury to control the timing, move it to a time where it doesn't have any suspicion of breaking your fast. Now, al-bakhur. Okay. If it's just like you pass it in a room and the bakhur is there, it's fine. But if you come into it and you make a stinshaq, then according to some scholars, it breaks your fast. Wallahu a'lam.
لو واحد شغال شغل شاق جدا مثلا صح يعني ممكن يفطر لو بيعرض حياته للخطر.
If there's a stress or hardship in anything you do, then you're allowed to break your fast and make it up. Now, the bottom line is the health, which means you do your best if you can to avoid this, so you can benefit from Ramadan. Like you can take ijaza, you can take vacation, or you can take any of this, make arrangement and all that. If you can do that, inshallah. But if you're forced and you cannot really physically able to do that, then you are allowed. Allah Ta'ala a'la. Just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. I think we talked about this. طيب. خلاص. Inshallah, يكفي. Any other questions? No? Yes?
Well, Muslims, so if he's not praying and then so Ramadan comes, like, and then he fasts, would he's not praying and he fasts in Ramadan, he's still like, get a reward, like, for...
SubhanAllah, that's a good question. Now the reason he's not praying, why?
So, yeah.
Just like laziness and stuff. He feels that he needs to pray and he must pray, but he's not praying. So that's al-siyam, right? Okay. I mean, it's not okay, but the siyam will be accepted, inshallah. And he needs to make tawbah and make qada for all these salats and go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he doesn't go back in Ramadan, that's
Allah يكون بعونه.
Allah al-hadi, right? And then make dua for him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reason I said that because if somebody believes the salah is not mandated, that becomes all matter of aqidah, and that becomes a fold of kufr. Wal-iyadu billah. So that's, and if it's a fold of kufr, nothing is accepted. See the difference between the two? So if somebody believes the salah, obviously he must pray, it's a rukn from arkan al-Islam, but he's not doing it, it's asi. وهناك بعض العلماء, that some scholars, they go even further and they say even that is not accepted. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, between the scholars. But most scholars agree, if somebody in the matter of aqidah does not consider salah rukn from arkan Islam, that's out of the fold of Islam. Then he's no longer a Muslim. Whatever he does is not accepted because there's no that foundation to accept everything on it. والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم. بارك الله فيكم. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم بلغنا رمضان وسلمنا إلى رمضان وسلم رمضان إلينا وتسلمه تقبلا منا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم أمواتنا وأموات المسلمين. اللهم ألف بين قلوب المسلمين. يا رب وحد صفوفهم وانصرهم على أعدائهم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله وبارك الله فيكم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا.